Mongitore's monstrous fish, sometimes known as Mongitore's monstrous whale, was a very large marine animal that washed up in Gigha in Sicily, in Italy, in 1741. It was drawn by Mongitore himself, and I've included the drawing here. It was noted to be 45 feet long, and most interestingly, it possessed 2 dorsal fins, which is unique among whales. A dorsal fin is a name for a fin that's on the back of an animal. And what makes this interesting is that whales can only have 1 dorsal fin ordinarily, although there have been some alleged cases of 2 dorsal fins, although the second dorsal fin is very small, and I'll show some images now. Mongitore's monstrous fish has 2 very pronounced dorsal fins, and also a blowhorn, which indicates that it is a whale. And he put it alongside a sperm whale and a force killer whale to differentiate between the 3, showing that it's different. Mongitore's monstrous fish was actually given a scientific name in 1814, and it was called the Oxyperterus mongitore. And the fish is referenced again in 1838, where it was referenced in relation to a description of another cryptid called the rhinoceros dolphin. Now, the rhinoceros dolphin, which I've pictured here, is an unrecognised species of dolphin which is said to have 2 dorsal fins. Additionally, dolphins have never ever grown to 40 feet long that we know of. The monstrous fish was later referenced in an 1884 book written by Enrico Gigha, who was an Italian zoologist. He references the monstrous fish in relation to an 1867 sighting he had of a huge whale which had 2 dorsal fins, and has been named Gigha's whale after the author, of course, and that is a cryptid whale. But if that whale does exist, it would tie in very nicely to the monstrous fish. Another suggestion is that it could have been a Basilosaurus, which is a prehistoric whale that could grow up to 80 feet long, but that's extremely unlikely because that had been extinct for millions of years. Also, they didn't live in the Mediterranean Sea, which is where the monstrous fish washed up. What I think is the most logical conclusion to what the fish could have been is it might have been a basking shark that might have decomposed a tiny bit, even though the drawing doesn't show decomposition. When basking sharks decompose, they can resemble really bizarre creatures like we see with the plesiosaur that was found in Japan in the 1970s. And even if it's rotted away a tiny bit, it could definitely resemble a blowhole. Blowhole might have been a decayed nasal cavity. Unfortunately, without any samples that we have access to, the mystery will probably never be solved definitively. But like many cryptid whales, it's still very, very interesting. Once again, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. My patrons in the description if you're interested in that. And thank you once again.